tackle chapter 13 and 14. I'm sorry, chapter 12 and 13. We have 2 more weeks of lecture. The 9th week we will do chapter 14, and the 10th week we'll do chapter 15. And then we're going to start counseling. So one of the things that you need to be thinking about is the character you're going to have, that you're going to use in your counseling sessions. What is going to happen is that you're going to create a character with a fictitious name and a fictitious problem, of course, and they are going to be counseled by one of your classmates. Then your classmate, then you will be able to counsel your classmate, because you will trade counseling sessions. So you'll counsel their character and they will counsel your character. So you need to get those character histories in. If you don't do that, then you can't counsel, because you won't be able to trade counseling sessions with your classmates. And this is a requirement for the class. I want you to experience at least mock counseling, despite the fact that they don't really have a problem and you don't really have a problem. I still want you to see what it feels like to deal with somebody in a counseling situation. So that's one of the requirements for the class. It's worth 100 points. So, you really can't pass the class without it. So you need to get those histories in. I will put the histories on the discussion page. So you need to email me your history, your client, your character history. And the history form is on the assignments page. Fill it out with your fictitious characters' problem and their names, and I can get you make you available for counseling. We're going to be doing this by cell phone, by Duo, by Zoom, by Facebook has some kind of an app where you can see people. Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks. So you need to get those in. We've only got 3 in so far, and I think there's 21 of you or so, maybe 19. People keep dropping the class. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Get those histories in so that I can get them up and give you credit for 50 points. If you don't, that's 150 points. The counseling sessions are 100 points, and the history, just finishing the history, is 50 points. Okay, so get them in. Get them in. There we go. Chapter 12: Identifying key problems or challenges. This can be complicated. The process of coming to an agreement on problems and goals involves a thoughtful and complete assessment. It is important to work on what the client is ready to solve, not what the practitioner might think is important. It's the client, not the practitioner, that should be running this thing. The problem exploration: what is the extent of your problem? How is the problem affecting your life? How long has this problem been in existence? How frequently does this problem happen, and how bad does it get? What is the cause of your problem? Are you living in an environment that will allow the problem to return? Is the problem worse because you haven't dealt with it and somebody shaved your head? Is this a superficial problem or one that goes deeper, requiring extensive therapy? How urgent is it that the problem be solved? Is it possible that this problem is the symptom of a more serious problem? Considerations of any problem include financial remuneration, client time constraints, and practitioner time constraints. The practitioner might have to act without fully exploring all problems due to a crisis status. The immediate crisis situation will have to be dealt with first, because you can address other problems. The practitioner may have to be more directive. Crisis situations dealing with interpersonal violence would include murder, and of course this isn't a real murder, it's just a mock-up. You can tell the blood's not real. Crisis situations dealing with interpersonal violence would include rape, It would include terrorist bombings. Disasters would include natural disasters. Crisis situations dealing with major natural disasters would include floods, which are happening right now in Orlando, Florida. They would include tornadoes. They were afraid that there were going to be tornadoes in Florida, but instead it was just a hurricane. Just a hurricane. They set records for storm surges. Natural disasters would include fires. There's the hurricanes. That one, Ian just hit Fort Myers, Florida. My daughter used to live in Fort Myers, Florida with my grandson, and luckily they moved out of Florida in let's see, what year did I start? My wife was with me for a year. So I started in 2016, 2017, and it was 2017 that my daughter came up to Iowa and left Fort Myers, Florida. Thank goodness. Crisis situations dealing with personal loss would include unexpected death of a family member. It would include sudden abandonment of a significant other. It is important to stay calm and remember that safety is the first priority for your client. Use skills of listening, asking questions for clarification. Express empathy and warmth. One of the things that you're going to have to deal with if it's a crisis situation is that they may not be very coherent. In other words, they've got things flashing through their minds, worries that are happening. They may not be talking about what is the most significant problem. Safety is always the first problem. You need to get them out of a dangerous situation. Seek supervision as soon as possible. Clients do not see any need to make a change. Working with clients, this is a pre-contemplation stage. Clients do not see any need to make a change. They do not see their behaviors or feelings as problems. Blaming others, they're blaming others for their problems. Moving from something clients cannot change to something they can improves efficacy. Empathy about problems that are out of the client's control is necessary. And of course, there's nothing they can do about some things that happen to them. If the client states that her boss is unfair to her, the practitioner might see her part of the problem as her inability to figure out what she can do to be treated more fairly. The practitioner isn't denying that the client has a problem, merely pointing out the portion of the problem that the client can control. If the client states that the problem is the city's failure to adequately maintain their neighborhood, the practitioner might help the clients to see their part of the problem as their lack of information about how to effectively lobby for services. If a mother is upset because her son is doing poorly in school and wants to make him bring up his grades, the practitioner will accept this as a valid concern and work with the mother to figure out what she wants to change about herself. The mother may be focusing too much on what the child is not doing or may not have encouraged him. She may not have discussed the problem with his teachers. If the client is a young single mother of 3 children who states that she doesn't have enough money for food and housing, even though she works full-time, the practitioner can work with her on her desire for more income so that she can better provide for her family and can tell her about whatever additional resources might be available to help her provide for her family. Pre-contemplation stage, motivational interviewing can be very helpful. Motivational interviewing is client-centered counseling that helps clients increase motivation by assisting them in exploring and resolving ambivalence about making changes. Rolling with resistance, clients have valid insights and ideas about their situation. Arguments for change are avoided by clients. The practitioner indicates a willingness to work on the problem identified by the client. Resistance often arises when the client is required to see the practitioner. A motivational interviewing strategy that involves pointing out, working with the clients, we're still in pre-contemplation stage. A motivational interviewing strategy that involves pointing out an incongruity between the client's present behavior and something they value or want. This may increase the client's motivation to change. The goal is to move the client to contemplating that there is a problem that they can work on. Identifying discrepancies. Okay. There is a readiness to believe that there is a problem. Now they're in the contemplation stage. The client can acknowledge the advantages of changing, but is also aware of the costs. They express empathy. Important at all stages of change, you need to show empathy. This provides acceptance because of your empathy. I know that you know that your drinking is a problem, but right now stopping seems impossible. They're in the contemplation stage. I understand that you think it would improve your health if you gave up smoking, but that giving up smoking feels almost impossible. Contemplation stage, advanced reflecting. Client's perspective is essential. Identifying values, meanings, feelings, and expectations. Expressions need to be stated tentatively. The purpose is to invite the client to have insight, self-awareness, and/or a deeper understanding of his or her situation. It seems like you feel angry because you value communication and he doesn't. You have moved from focusing on the client's husband to identifying what the client values, communication. It sounds like you feel angry because you expect clear directions from your boss. Without clear directions, you feel afraid of making mistakes. You move from focusing on the boss to focusing on the client's need for clarification. It seems like you value open communication and haven't found a way to invite other members of this group to share openly. You're moving from focusing on what the client thinks is wrong with the other group members to focusing on what the client values. I hear that you are frustrated and think this group isn't accomplishing enough. It seems like you really want this task group to do well. Moving from focusing on what the client is frustrated about and what the client wants. It seems that several folks in this agency are feeling impatient because the needs of growing Hispanic population are not being adequately addressed by the agency. It sounds like addressing the needs of the Hispanic population is something many of you value and think is important. Moving from focusing on what is wrong with the services at the agency to what the people in the agency value. I'm wondering if you feel like you aren't getting much recognition at work. Being valued at your contribution seems to be important to your job satisfaction. Moving from what the people at work aren't giving the client to what the client wants. I have a feeling that the group really wants to deal with this issue, but you are afraid of hurting one another's feelings. Moving from what the group members are afraid to what they want. It seems like you folks in the neighborhood really want to get this problem solved, but are feeling pretty discouraged right now because the process seems difficult. Moving from how hard the process is to what the people want. Themes may be related to interacting. What are we talking about? Identifying patterns and themes. Themes may be related to interacting, behaving, thinking, and/or feelings. Seeing patterns can help clients to make changes. A theme is an idea or point of view shared by several people. A pattern refers to consistent ways of thinking, feeling, or behaving. A pattern might be related to how a client tries to escape, run away, or use some self-defeating behavior. The practitioner can ask about the possible connections between problems and thoughts, feelings, ways of coping, and other situations. It is particularly powerful to relate themes and patterns to clients' experience of what is happening in his or her relationship with the practitioner. Clients can begin to identify their roles and problems and begin to set goals. It is important to state and restate goals until both client and practitioner are clear about them. Partializing involves breaking a complex problem into manageable parts. We're in the preparation stage. There we go. Practitioner and client can decide which part of a problem should be, or back in partializing. Practitioner and client can decide which part of a problem should be dealt with first. This may be the easiest, the most painful, or one that can lead to the solvability of the other aspects of the larger problem. It is important to remember that the client's perception of what is manageable may be smaller than or different from what the practitioner might see as possible. Encouragement given to clients that they can solve problems. The goal is to enhance clients' confidence and capability to cope. Statements that recognize that the clients have already accomplished and identifies their strengths can support their belief in themselves. Problem identification concerns aiding the clients identifying problems clearly. In larger systems, the family's different members may understand problems differently. Clients often think of problems as something to stop. They need to change to what they want to start doing instead of what they need to stop doing. Ethical considerations in problem identification. Practitioners need to support essential ethical principles related to autonomy and self-determination. Clients' decisions are influenced by culture, gender, age, and other factors. The practitioner's role is to support choices of clients even if they feel they should make other choices. And that's the end of that chapter. Let's go on to chapter 13, Establishing Goals. Okay. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, okay. Identifying general goals. Goals set the direction of work to be done. Clear goals are necessary in planning steps to be taken. They are what clients hope to achieve working with the practitioner. They are the client's vision of what life would be like if their problems were solved. Goals must be mutually established between practitioners and clients, and that's very important. For both of you have to work on these at the same time. Practitioners should not try to guide clients. The more the client guides themselves, the more likely that the client will actually deal with the problem. If the practitioner comes up with all the solutions and the client is, even if the client does what the practitioner tells them to do, they haven't really bought into the whole process of helping themselves. Satisfactory work depends on practitioners' ability to collaborate with the client. Questions that seek clarification help clients figure out what goals they are motivated to achieve. Exception-finding questions are useful. Explore times when the problem was not present, times when the problem was smaller or less problematic. At the end of our work together, what do you want your life to be like? When the problems that brought you here are solved, what do you want to be thinking, doing, or feeling? When we have finished our work together, what might other people see you doing that you aren't doing now? Tell me about the picture of what you want your family to be like. Eating popcorn, I can't argue with that. Let's pretend that these problems are solved. What differences will you notice in your life? Make it possible for the clients, this is the MAPS program, MAPS goals. Make it possible for clients and practitioners to evaluate changes that have been made. It provides a clear direction and focus for work. Oops, what are we talking about? Measurable, attainable, positive, and specific. That's the MAPS goals. Will you give me an example of what positive communication sounds like to you? When you have positive communication, what will you be doing that you weren't doing now? In what situations do you want to have more positive communication? I want to get better grades, so I will write down each assignment I get this week. These are measurable or okay. I want to lose weight, so I will go to the gym 3 times this week. I want to become sober, so I will attend 1 AA meeting this week. I want more friends, so I will sit next to 2 different people in each of my classes. A goal needs to be something that the client believes is possible based on available resources such as time, money, and people power. Establishing a series of small goals helps clients experience success. It is important that the size of the goal seems attainable to a client and reasonable to the practitioner. Unattainable goals involve changing another person. Time to reach the goal must be relatively proximate to the decision's change. Clients who participate in setting goals are more likely to believe goals are achievable. Goals should be visualized in concrete, specific behavioral terms. Your goal is to lose 15 pounds. Would it be reasonable to lose 1.5 pounds this week? Your goal is to turn your homework in on time. Would it be reasonable to set aside an hour in the evening to do homework for this class? Your goal is to attend AA meetings. Would it be reasonable to acquire a list of local meetings this week? I hear that you want to weigh what you weighed when you were 30 years old. Let's consider first setting a goal that you can successfully reach in a shorter period of time. What do you think would be a reasonable and not too hard goal to reach in 2 months? I agree that giving up drinking, going to AA meetings every day is a terrific goal. AA is very good at celebrating each milestone in the process of lifetime sobriety. How about if one of our first goals is going to AA every day for 2 weeks? Does that sound okay to you? It sounds like your group was disappointed in your grade on the big project and you are determined to start earlier on the next big project. That sounds like a plan that will work. The next project is due 6 weeks from now. What goal would you like to achieve 3 weeks from now related to that project? So the two of you often argue about how to discipline the children and think it would be better if you agreed on discipline methods. That sounds like a good goal to achieve. Since you disagree on many aspects of discipline, would it make sense to you to start with a goal of coming to an agreement about what to do when Anne won't spend time on her homework? In this town, you have many people who are homeless, and you want to develop a solution to the problem that will be acceptable to the city council and also to the people who are homeless. I wonder if the first goal might be to create a group of people, including some people who are homeless and some of you who are willing to work on this problem. Positive goals. Keep the focus on what the client wants to do rather than what the client doesn't want to do. Practitioners can use open-ended questions to help clients to think in positive terms. I want to lose weight, so today I will eat at least 2 servings of fruit. I want to turn my homework in on time, so today I will review all the work I need to turn in this week. I want to make 2 new friends, so today I will say hi to 5 people. If one night at dinner you aren't fighting, what do you think you might be doing? If one day you felt the urge to drink but didn't drink, what would you do instead? What is your vision of what the neighborhood would look like without drug dealers? When you are concerned about how things are going in the group, how would you like to talk to each other about your concerns or hopes? If this agency was functioning in a way that you believe would be effective, what would people be doing that you aren't doing now? Short-term goal, this week I will go to class and write down my homework assignments. Long-term goal, this semester I will raise my grades 1 level. Short-term goal, this week I will speak with 3 new people. Long-term goal, this semester I will make 2 new friends. Moving from general to specific goals, practitioners may decide to approach agreement on problems and goals differently. Some practitioners prefer more general goals. Working on one goal often relates to other goals. Many practitioners find it helpful to establish a written or verbal agreement that describes previous understandings between them and the client. These agreements are developed collaboratively and can be modified as necessary. A good alliance involves a safe, trusting, comfortable, collaborative relationship. It includes an agreement between the practitioner and the client about the goals. These set the stage for monitoring work together. There are many valid and reliable scales for measuring the alliance. There are also scales for measuring the outcome of a session or series of sessions with clients. The goal attainment scale is a 5-point scale that ranges from most to least favorable outcomes that clients believe are possible. That can be used to identify the level of progress achieved either during the course of work together or at the end. Using the GAS for each MAPS goal can be helpful. Goal attainment scale, GAS, get it? This week I will eat 2 servings of fruit each day. I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to lose 15 pounds. Next week I will make an appointment to join a gym. The following week I will attend the gym and 3 exercise classes. The next week I will continue at the gym and eating fruit and weigh myself to see if I have lost any weight. If not, I will join Weight Watchers, etc. That is the end. Oh, so I'll talk to you guys next week. Remember, there's 2 more weeks of lecture. You need to get your histories in. You need to come up with a fake problem. So get those things in because we can't start counseling until you get them in.